G'day, my name's Wilfred West from Loch Sport, Victoria, Australia. Today's date is the 2nd of the 11th, 2015, and it's about 9 to 11. It's a beautiful day. Still got quite a few people here, which is good. Now, if something interesting pops up on the video today, we'll keep it. If not, don't worry about it.
Leaving him there, and in hindsight I'm very glad I did, because as we know now, he drew the outside barrier, so his challenge is greater than it would have been if he'd drawn nicely, so he deserves his place.
In the National Rugby League, it appears increasingly likely that Robbie Farah will remain at West Tigers next season. The 31-year-old hooker reported to the Tigers' first pre-season training session at Leichhardt this morning. Farah was told earlier this year to look for another club, but Tigers coach Jason Taylor says he can still work with the former captain.
Let me say, I'm extremely comfortable if Robbie remains, and I think you guys, if you're looking closely, you would have seen that we're both professional guys, and we will work through that as we showed today.
Other rugby league news: Penrith Panthers have released centre Jamal Idris from the final year of his contract. The former New South Wales State of Origin player says he needs a break off the game. Western Sydney Wanderers have climbed off the bottom of the A-League ladder with a 1-0 victory at home against Perth Glory. Dario Vidicic's goal in the 45th minute was enough to secure the first win of the season for the Asian champions. Vidicic was making his first appearance in the starting lineup for the Wanderers after joining the club just a couple of weeks before the start of the season. Coach Tony Popovich says the former Socceroo will only get better as he returns to full fitness.
Yeah, I think he's still, I'm sure he's still well short physically. It was a tough game for him tonight to play a whole match. Ideally would have liked to have played him less, but he showed his quality. That's what he's got. Our goal now is to make that more regular.
In the Premier League, after another loss to Chelsea on the weekend, speculation continues about the future of high-profile manager Jose Mourinho. Newspaper reports in the UK are suggesting that the Portuguese manager has been given 2 more matches to get Chelsea back on track following yesterday's 3-1 loss at home to Liverpool. Former England manager Graham Taylor says he has no inside connections at Chelsea. His instinct tells him that Mourinho's dramatic slide started when he publicly attacked and then dismissed the club doctor, Ivo Caniero, right at the start of the season.
I just have the feeling that this is all stemmed from the dismissal of the doctor earlier. Nothing's been said that way, but I think in terms of what that's done, from what I've heard, I do get a little bit of background. She was very much appreciated, very much
stop
liked
in front of
the
me.
dressing room, and it would appear to me from a distance that
Yes.
in fact,
Now can you move?
Mourinho has lost some, I wouldn't say
Now that's interesting. Hello? Now would you like getting off the road? Thank you. I mean, oh, that's a first. I'll keep that section, I think. Bloody heck. I mean, oh, thank God this car's got good brakes. I'll keep that little section. I'll put it on YouTube, I think. Oh, that was fun. So that's the daily. Sometimes we get problems like that. As I said before, we get kangaroos in our front yard. Oh, actually, through our property, in the property. Well, at least they eat the grass. That's the main thing. And then you grab that poo, because basically all of this is grass anyway, the poo. And put that in some water and it's an extra fertiliser. I don't know if it does any better or worse, but it helps, I think. I love that. They just stood there. They're just like bouncing around as in front of the car. Oh, I hope that poor other car doesn't end up wearing those kangaroos. They're only young ones by the look of them. Oh well. You don't get that in Melbourne, do you?
Ms Bishop says the plane's black boxes have been recovered and an investigation has begun.
It could take some time before we know the actual
Morrison has described a New Zealand-style GST of 15% as being at the far end of the tax debate. Nationals MP David Gillespie asked the Federal Parliamentary Budget Office to model the scenario with the higher rate and broader base, and found that it would raise an additional $65 billion a year. Mr. Morrison says the backbencher's idea is not government policy. And he says providing compensation for any GST rise would be easier today than in the past.
It's far more in place compensation measures these days which recognises those risks than it was previously. I think that's a good thing.
South Australian Premier Jay Weatherill has again supported a potential raising of the goods and services tax. His federal counterpart, opposition leader Bill Shorten, has misgivings about any changes, saying it will put an unfair burden on householders. But Mr Weatherill says, with the government cutting funds to the health and education sectors, something has to change. He backed the original proposal by the New South Wales Premier Mike Baird to consider raising the GST.
I said we should talk about that because we have to find a solution to this hole that's been created in our finances by the federal cut.
Boss of Defence Housing Australia has resigned, sparking fears inside the military that the Turnbull government is preparing to privatise the organisation. Here's Defence reporter Andrew Green.
In a statement to staff obtained by the ABC, Defence Housing Australia Chairman Sandy McDonald has announced Managing Director Peter Howman has resigned effective immediately. He'll be replaced by Jan Mason from the Finance Department, a move many in the military fear is another step towards privatising the popular organisation. Last year, the Abbott government commissioned a scoping study into the possible sale of DHA, which manages $10 billion worth of real estate. Andrew Green, ABC News, Canberra.
Making news overseas this morning, the Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu has declared victory for the governing AK party in the country's second parliamentary elections within months. With almost all of the votes counted, the AK party is said to win substantially more than the 276 seats needed to form a government. BBC's Mark Lowen reports from the Turkish capital, Ankara.
They can barely contain their delight here at the AK party headquarters in Ankara. The result has far exceeded all opinion polls, the margin of victory higher than almost anybody expected. The party, founded by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has won back the majority it lost in June's election, and it will now be able to govern alone. The tactic of the party and the president to reject a coalition last time and push for a rerun has paid off.
Four bodies have washed ashore on the Greek island of Lesbos after boats carrying refugees capsized in heavy seas. Among those drowned were children and babies. Al Jazeera's Mohammed Jamjoon has more from Lesbos.
More grim, very sad news emanating from here earlier today. Two boats capsizing on the coast of Samos. That's very close to where we are now. At least 11 people killed, drowned in those boats capsizing, and it seems as though several children, perhaps as many as 6, drowned in those capsizings as well. Sadly, these types of headlines are becoming almost commonplace here, especially in the past week. Dozens of people, at least 60, drowning in boats that capsized, refugees desperate to try to make it from Turkey to Greece this past week. So at least 60 people dead just in the last 4 days.
The Somalian government has called on hotels to take more responsibility for their security after an attack which killed 15 people. 2 bombs exploded at the hotel in central Mogadishu before armed gunmen stormed the building. The Internal Security Minister says it's impossible to protect every location in Mogadishu. Queensland police are yet to verify claims a teenager was doused with petrol and set alight on the Sunshine Coast. The 14-year-old remains in a medically induced coma after suffering serious burns to his upper body on Saturday night. He ran to a house screaming for help after the incident at Sunrise Beach. Paramedic Mark Taylor has praised a quick-thinking neighbour who put the boy into the shower.
He was going into shock, an enormous amount of pain. He was conscious and was actually in the shower at the time with a young lady that we've been led to believe lived next door. She'd administered first aid, basically had turned the shower on softly and was nice and cool, which allowed him to stay in one place, stay calm.
A man has been sentenced to at least 9 months in jail over a road crash that killed his friend in the New South Wales Illawarra district 15 years ago. More from Lucy McNally.
Bradley Hazelton had been on the run for 14 years when police found him in Queensland last year. He fled New South Wales and changed his name after the crash that killed his friend Wayne Nicholson.
What a fucking dog.
The 21-year-old victim died after he was thrown from the car at the Rounded event in Austinmere. Hazelton was drunk on the night. He returned to reading of .09. In sentencing, Judge Paul Conlon said it's clear Hazelton has remorse, but that remorse was overshadowed by thoughts of self-preservation.
He had no fucking remorse by the look of it.
The victim sister yelled at him as he was taken away.
14 years on the run. No fucking remorse in that wanker. He deserves to get more than 9 months in fucking jail.
Licenses and to settle all legal disputes. The government has offered to buy back 3 exploration licenses.
If he had remorse, he wouldn't have ran. He would have done his time 14 years ago.
Under the deal, it still has to be approved by the company's shareholders.
What a freaking dog.
Will also stop legal action against the government's suspension of drilling at the site last year.
I'm sorry, but certain things that just piss me off.
The New South Wales Energy and Resources Minister Anthony Roberts says it's a fair and reasonable offer.
This means that effectively, should the shareholders agree to this offer, will make the Northern Rivers of New South Wales gas-free.
Now to ABC News Radio Business and Finance News. Westpac's confirmed a cash profit of $7.82 billion for the year to the end of September. That's a 3% rise compared to the same
one of the worst possible spots we could do in YouTube.
Loan growth has driven the increased earnings.
I should have done on the corner.
Brought forward its annual results announcement
just before the corner.
October,
Just as
when it released its preliminary unaudited earnings. And a leading private sector survey of consumer prices has recorded another benign reading on inflation. Securities Melbourne Institute monthly inflation gauge shows annual inflation stands at 1.8%. That's below the Reserve Bank's 2-3% target range for inflation. Annette Beecher from TD Securities says the result follows last week's softer than expected official quarterly inflation figure.
We've only just finished digesting what was a weak September quarter CPI report, and so we're still keeping that rather soft theme into the fourth quarter. What we observed this month is that we had just as many price rises as falls, so net no change in the cost of living.
Let's take a look at the share market now. It's been trading for about 1.5 hours. The All Ordinaries Index is still down, just over 0.5%, 35 points to 5,253. And the ASX 200 right now is trading at 5,199 points. It has lost 40 points since trade began for the week, as I said about 90 minutes ago. West Texas Intermediate crude oil is priced right now at $46.55, and the Tapper's crude oil price is $50.19. Gold is down $2.60 US an ounce to $1,139.61. The Australian dollar is slightly weaker at 71.3 US cents. You'll get 46 British pence, 64.5 euro cents, a tad under 86 Japanese yen, $1.05.5 New Zealand. Now to ABC News Radio Sports News. Firstly, in horse racing, the chief handicapper in Victoria says he's finding it hard to believe that his Melbourne Cup field has produced a favourite with the shorter price as Fame Game. The Japanese galloper has been quoted at odds only slightly better than 2-1. That's very short for a race that usually offers quite an open market. Greg Carpenter says the strength of the support for Fame Game has surprised him.
Clear in my thinking that there's probably 22 horses in it that could win and not surprise me, and we've got one of the shortest price favourites in decades. I think that's a signal of the high esteem, the respect that Japanese horses have here in Australia. Racing is a little bit of a fashion game, and certainly Fame Game and Japanese stayers are very highly thought of. His run in the Caulfield Cup, where he ran 6th to Mongolian Khan, was there for everyone to see, and he's been heavily supported. I think there's great opportunities for people who want to look outside the favourite to get really good value in the race. And as I said,
well, it looks like we did come across something interesting today. Well, anyway, my name's Wilfred West from Loch Sport, Victoria, Australia, signing off. Thank you for watching my videos, and all comments are welcome. You all have a great day now.